No, yeah. See some of our.
What?
No, they asked me.
Oh, are you chewing gum?
Yes, sir.
You're not supposed to chew gum in public.
Public?
Right. Didn't your English teacher tell you that?
No.
Your English teacher didn't tell you? Really? If we were to chew gum in class, the English teacher would always say, no chewing gum. You're not supposed to chew gum in public. You look like a cow. And she would make us spit out, make us come up front. She'd put a piece of paper out, and we had to spit it out. Y'all didn't go through that? You went through that?
Of course. But they were, they didn't want you putting it under the desk or throwing it.
No. They didn't want that, of course, but they said it was improper to chew gum in public.
In class, for sure.
And that you look like a cow. And so I never chewed gum on TV. I never chewed gum when people were looking because I didn't want to look like a cow.
Right.
And if you notice when it No, not fat. Good morning. Welcome to Fellowship. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Thank you all for being with me. I do appreciate it. You can get involved by going to our YouTube chat line, and Hake will pass on your question or comment to me as we move forward here. Good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
How's everyone?
Great.
We had an amazing meeting Thursday night. It was one of a kind. It was like, it was right up there almost with the ladies' forum last Thursday night. I mean, third Thursday. These meetings are getting deep. So stay with it. I was thinking about human nature and human beings over the weekend, and I realized that human beings are always the same. Ask Billy, could I pull my chair up a little, or should I just deal with it? It seemed kind of low. But if not, I can handle it. I can stay with it. Human beings have always been the same. I can. Would he have to come back out and adjust the camera? Sorry about that. Okay. How's that? That feels a little better. Human being has always been the same since mankind. They've always been the same. And what I notice about human beings, one of the primary reasons that they stay in their hell, they don't take orders right. They don't listen. They listen to all the wrong things, but not the right things. And because of that, they suffer. They really do suffer. And I was thinking about how, remember those people, they were slaves in Egypt, somewhere like that. You all remember that in the Bible? Yeah, the Jews. Who said Jews? The Jews, right. They were enslaved in Egypt for a long time. And then they cried for help because they said the pain is too much. We're working too hard, we're living in poorly, and just a bad place to live. We want out, we want out. Help us, God, send help for us. Come and help us. Send somebody, right? And so finally, Christ sent help. He finally sent someone there to help take them out of Egypt. And they were all happy and really, really followed the instructions to leave Egypt. And then they was all, oh, we love Moses. Who brought them out of Egypt? Moses. We love Moses. Moses sent by God. Moses the right person. Thank you, God. Thank you, Moses. And they brought Moses gift, and they invited him to dinner, and they just had love Moses. And as a result, they said they love God. And so one day Moses had to go up because he ran out of wisdom as to what to do next when he got them so far into Egypt, right? I mean, out of Egypt. And so Moses said, okay, y'all hang out here. I got to go up and talk to the Father and get more instruction. See what he want me to do next with y'all. There's too many of y'all. I don't know what to do with y'all. So I want to make sure I lead you in the right way. And so look how white that baby is. That's how it used to be. We need those kind of blonde hair, blue eyes, white as snow. That's what made America great. He was like the real deal. Safe for making white babies. Nice. And so Moses said, I got to go up and get some more instructions. Y'all just lay here, relax. I'll be back. And they're like, okay, Moses, absolutely. Thank you. We love you. Praise the Lord. Jesus sent you. You from God. We love you. And so Moses went up into the hill to get more, to hear from the Father what to do next. And so Moses went up and he stayed for a minute because the Father is kind of slow communicating. He doesn't communicate right away. Or Moses needs more information. And so finally Moses came down, he heard from the Father. He went back down to the people and he said to them, okay, all is well. Y'all just continue to hang out here. They're getting the promised land all cleaned up. They're getting the Arabs out so y'all can come in. And the Arabs messed it up. They turned it into a ghetto, so you got to turn the promised land back into, for y'all, clean it up. Okay, we love you, Moses. And so time went by, and Moses had not heard from God again. And so Moses said, all right, I guess I'll go back up into the mountain to hear from God. And the people are like, okay, you want some tea to take with you? You want some watermelon juice? Anything, and take with you. Moses like, okay, cool. So Moses went up, and this time Moses was gone for a while, a long time. And then people started feeling anxious and nervous, and they're like, we've been out here in the desert too long. We were better off over there with the enslaved. We were better off being beat and starved out and working overtime and getting little and picking cotton and going to the gin, cotton gin. We were better off. Where's Moses? Moses, we want Moses back. And then Moses was taking so long. And so they would start getting anxious and worried and overreaction. This sound familiar to y'all? They would start to overreact. And then finally Moses, and then finally somebody in the crowd started to build an army against Moses. And so he went around, he told the other people, Moses is not coming back. You can't be trusting Moses. Where's Moses now? Moses promised to come back and deliver you. He is not coming back. You might as well join this crowd and we're going to do something about this. Come with us and we're going to make it right for you. And they're like, yeah, that's right. Forget about Moses. We were better off in Egypt. And this person said, okay. And so they start whispering to one another until eventually most of the crowd started to follow this man. And these people were like partying, they got wine, they had some cheap liquor, they had some of the Jew drink, whatever the Jews drink, other than wine. And they had a bunch of drink, and they were partying, dancing, and then the women started being sluts, and they started partying it up in the woods, in the desert, right? And and they were like, wow, this is so much fun. We need a king. We need a leader. Well, Moses is not our leader anymore. We need a leader. And they're like, oh, okay, you're right. We're going to lead. Let's build a gold calf. And they built a gold calf, and they worshiped the calf. Now, I remind you that these people were on the right track at first. They asked for God to send help, and he did. And he gave them this leader, Moses, to lead them into the land. And they lost track because they went back into their imagination. they went back and inside their imagination seemed a little better than what they were receiving on the outside. And so they followed this person. Moses finally went back down there. He was like, what the? And they hated Moses. They didn't trust him. They turned on him. And they had leaders that they followed. They followed the crowd. And then finally, some of the guys, a few, 5 or 6, 7 of the guys, they were following the crowd too. And the guys realized, where are we going? This man, these leaders are not leading us anywhere. We're following the crowd, but we're getting nowhere. And these few of the men decided, you know what? This is not working. I'm gonna go back over there to that area that Moses left us in. I'm gonna wait there. I'm just gonna stay there until Moses come back and lead us in. I'm not gonna leave. And then, so they turned back, but the crowd turned on them. Why y'all going back? You can't trust Moses, but here they are trusting someone else, following the crowd. And then they're like, and so they turned on these guys, and they're like, okay, whatever, I'm going back. This is better than what I have, or where I can. At least I know I had a location, and that help was coming. At least help said it was coming. Moses said he was coming back, but there's no help in the way that we're going with this crowd. You ever followed the crowd and you got no help? Yep. And they said, at least we followed these people, we're going nowhere. And so some of the guys went back and they stayed in that location. And they stayed for a long time, but they stayed anyway because they had nothing else, best to wait and see. Wait and see, right? And then they waited and waited and waited. And of course, the devil started telling them Moses is not coming. What you had was better. The crowd, those crowd you left behind, they probably made it to the promised land. They were lost in the desert forever. But they were following the crowd. And then the crowd started fighting each other. While they were like lost, they turned on each other and started fighting because they wanted another leader. Whenever one leader don't work, you look for another one. It's like getting married. Whenever one marriage don't work, the first thing you think about, I'm going to find me another husband. I'm going to find me another wife. This is no good. Isn't that true? Yeah. You don't think about, well, what's my way out to make this thing work for me? You think about a new one, and then you get 3 or 4 or 5 husbands or wives, and then it just get worse. But anyway, they waited, and finally Moses came and took them into the promised land. Moses didn't go in because he got ticked. Moses got mad at the people for being so stupid. And so he didn't get in there. And that's what happens if you get mad. If the leader get mad, it's over. And so I say that because what I notice about most people is they hear me tell them, if you want to be free, you got to forgive. You got to look at you and start working on you. And keep your eyes on you and no one else or nothing else. And they're like, oh, that sounds so good. Right on. I'm going to do that. And so they do it. They go in, they forgive their mothers, and they realize how hard it was to do it. They forgive their fathers. And then they start doing the silent prayer. And then some of them get, oh, the silent prayer is amazing. I'm like, be still and know, just stay with it, endure to the end, and they try to do it. And then the moment, while they're doing it, something happens on the outside, or you're on the inside. Somebody comes along and they say so bad about the person. Oh, you're a dummy. Or you this or you that. And they go off just like that. They snap. And the moment they snap, they get off, everything falls apart. They stop doing the silent prayer. They get angry. They start to lose their way. And some people go along and then they try to do it, they do it, and then they do something that they call sin. Oh, I sinned today. I did the sex thing, or I partied too hard, or and they stop doing it because the devil tells them, now you're a sinner again. And then their neighbors, their friends start to tell them, you're a sinner. I thought you were supposed to be a Christian. And they're like, yeah, you're right. And they stop doing it. And then some people, they start doing the silent prayer. That's why they stop. Because Satan tells them they're made it. And then they stop. And then some people say, well, this is too hard. I've been waiting too long out here in the desert. I've been waiting for this and it's just not happening. It's taking too long. This is too painful. And they stop doing it. They lose their way. They give up too. And then there's the one or two people who realize, you know what? This is better than what I had. This is something that's going on. I don't know where I'm going to end, but I know where I've been. And I don't want to go back to that anymore. I'm going to endure to the end. If all hell breaks loose, if everyone turns against me, if I lose all my money, my so-called, I'm staying and stand and stand. And they stay with the prayer and they watch. And the more they watch, the more they start to see. And they're like, wow. And they're glad that they're watching because now it's become fun to be seeing and working on themselves. And then more people turn against them. And then they stay with it anyway. And then their wife or their husband turn against them because the wife don't feel like, the wife got to watch the kids. She got time to pray. So she turned against him. Or the man, I got to go to work. He turned. And then now a fight between the husband and the wife. And then the husband stopped or the wife stopped. But then there are those, a few, who endure to the end. And those are the ones that are going to make it to the promised land. And I want to say to you that you can make it. There's a real promised land. It's inside of you. It is real. And that you can be free. But you must be willing to give it all up. You must be willing to lose everything. And when I say be willing to lose, you're not trying to lose anything. You're not going out there and saying, I'm not going to be friends with anyone. I'm just going to drop all my friends. I'm going to stop talking to them. You don't have to say that. That would change by itself. The relationship and the way you see them will change. Oh, I'm going to give up all my money. I'm just going to be poor. You don't have to do that. What is happening when you stay with it, your nature is changing. The nature of evil and emotions is changing. And so your relationship with people, places, and things on earth is naturally changing. And you still function with people, you go to work, you socialize with them, you enjoy, you still have fun, but your relationship with the world has changed. You're now one with what is right. Or on your way to that, you're growing in that. And so if you're married and your husband or your wife want to leave, you don't say, well, what should I do? What should I do? Please stay, baby, 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 please. Baby, please stay. Don't leave me. What will I be if you left? Who will I be? I'll be so lonely. What am I going to do with these kids if you leave me? You wouldn't say nothing like that. You wouldn't feel that way. You wouldn't think that way. If that husband or wife wanted to leave because your relationship has changed and now you're of real love. You have real love. You don't need that outside love at all. You don't need that husband like you think you do or that wife like you think you do. It's just in that fallen state you think you need them. If you already have it, why you don't need it? And so if the husband or the wife decide they want to leave, you'll be like, okay, see you later. Let him go. You won't shed the tears. You won't feel lost. And if you felt an ego pain of loneliness or lostness because that person left, you realize it's just a memory. And you remember one day you were walking by the dock of the bay and the birds came and y'all laughed. And you remember when you first met them, they were so sweet, they were so nice. They said how much they love you and you love them. It was just a memory. It was never real. And so you let the little memory pass. You won't call them up and say, hey, come back. You want to have dinner? Come and let's go to lunch. Let's go to a movie. You won't do any of that because you won't miss them. Because there's no you to miss anything or anyone. I tell people to stay with it, stay praying. Just do the silent prayer and watch. Don't call it you. Don't call the thought you. Don't just watch. And they won't do it. They give up. You got to make up your mind that you and you alone can take this journey by yourself. You can't judge anyone. You can't make anyone change. Matter of fact, you get to the point you see that there is no you to make another person change. So you let people live exactly how they want to live. You want to live being a bum? Be a bum. If you want to live being an alcoholic, a drug addict, or whatever, be that. I'm not bothered by it. And you won't either, because you will understand. And you will know what's driving these people. They have decided, I want to stay out the way I am. And you won't be like, oh, I wish you would change. A lot of people learn how to forgive, and they're married or dating or whatever. They have learned how to forgive, but their spouse, their husband or wife has not done it. Their mama has not changed, or brother or sister. And they be like, I tried to tell them to forgive. I tried to tell them to do this, but they won't do it. And I want so bad for them to do it. I want my family to change. I want them to do the silent prayer. I'm like, dummy, why do you want that? Why do you want somebody else to change? That doesn't even make sense to me. Well, that's my daddy. That's my mama. That's my friend. That's my coworker. Those are my children. I want them to change. What a dummy. We don't have any dummies here that want that, right? Y'all don't want nobody to change, right? Somebody lying. And so you're not supposed to want for people to change. Who are you that you want for somebody else to change? It's enough working on yourself. And if someone doesn't want to change, you think God is sitting up there thinking, oh, look. Look over there, Jesus. Look at Sally Ann. Poor, she's crying over her misery. I want her to change. Jesus, go down there again to help her. Or look at this person over here committing murder. They know they're going to prison. They committed murder. Oh, I feel so bad for that person committing murder. Look at that robber over there at the bank stealing money. We know who it is. We got cameras everywhere. You think Jesus is sitting up there thinking, I want you to change? And why should we leave people alone and let them have the life that they want? If you still want to be friends, you can be friends with them. Come on over, how y'all doing, blah, blah, blah. You got to live your life. You can't live anyone else's life. And then you're on an ego trip when you're feeling bad because somebody else won't change. And 99% of the time, the reason you want that person to change, you want something from them. You don't want them to change because you love them. You want your wife to change because you're getting better. You want your husband to change because you're getting better, you say. But you really want that woman to stay with you. You're unwilling to let her go. Or husband to let her go. You want these people to be your friends. And so that's why you say you want them to change. You yell at your parents, your father, your mother, your brother, your sister. Yeah, it's so bad. You got to do it my way. I know what I'm doing. You do it. You yell at them because you pretend you want them to change, but you got the thrill from treating them like hell. And you call it love. You say, well, that's my blood. Oh, I'm the man. I'm the woman. I'm going to tell the woman what to do or kill her. You ain't got no right to tell a woman what to do. God didn't give you that right. You don't have any right to force your will on your parents. And this idea that men and women have about each other and about what men should do and what God, and what, that's dumb. Men and women, husband and wife, should work together. They do have God-given talents to do to make two work as one. And you're not supposed to make them do it. If you don't want to do it, okay, I got the wrong wife. I understand you don't want to wash dishes. I want to wash that wash dishes because I need my kids to be taken care of while I'm away. If you don't want to do that, I understand. Goodbye. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to call you names. I'm not going to say you're wrong or right because you decided you want to be rebellious. You don't want to become one. Husband and wife become one. But they don't because they both try to control each other. What a mess. Isn't it like a mess? So you need to look at yourself and you need to listen. And another thing that is deep that lead up to all this. I tell men and women, boys and girls, stop consulting with the mind. Stop communicating, stop arguing with, stop looking to thoughts for the answer. Don't look to thoughts, the answers are not there except for practical reasons. You want to build a car, the answer's in the mind how to build a car. God has given you the intellectual knowledge to build, to function on earth, to want food, whatever. That's the only time you use the thoughts. And those are coming from God. But as soon as something happens, where do you run to? Your thought. You overreact. God said to be still. I tell you, hey, don't overreact to any situation. Let it happen. Don't overreact, because if you be still, you're going to overcome it. You overreact, you're going to go back into the imagination for another answer to this first problem that's happening. And then the thought's going to give you the answer to that problem, but it's going to be the wrong answer. And it's going to give you the answer to the next one. It's going to be the wrong answer. But you still listen to it. I'm like, don't listen to the thoughts. And you still listen to the thoughts. Go back down to that bar and you can meet another man or woman. That man or woman you met last night, that was the wrong one. It's like, okay, I'll be down there next Saturday all dressed up. And you meet the same kind of person. You don't listen. You just don't pay attention. I tell you assignments, I say, okay, let yourself suffer for a week. I've told people when you feel fear, do nothing about the fear. Live with the fear. Go to sleep with it, wake up with it, go to have breakfast with the fear, drive your car in fear, go to work in fear, go to your party in fear. Live with the fear, and it will be taken away from you. And the reason to be taken away, don't go to some counselor and they give you some stupid medication for fear. Don't do that. And what they do, they run to an expensive counselor, and the counselor tell them, okay, you got HDP, or you got Asperger, or something. Here's a pill. And you take it and now you look like a zombie. And I'm like, if you live with the fear, you're going to overcome the fear, because living with the fear, and you see that you're living with the fear, seeing that you are living with the fear, it will be taken away. But if you can't see that you're living with fear, it won't be taken away. Because you're going to consult with the mind, it's going to give you more fear. It's going to make you hide it. It's going to make you pretend to be brave. It's going to control you. But if you're aware, it's awareness what you want. It's to stay present is what you want. That's where freedom is. Freedom is in the present. It's now. God is trying to, like the people in the promised land, over there in the desert before they made, God was trying to save them. They wouldn't even listen. They were listening for a while, long they felt good. As soon as the pain came, they listened no more, just like most of you and the people out there. You don't listen. As soon as something happens, you're ready to go off. You think that there is someone or something there to protect. There is no one there to protect. There is no one there to defend. There's never a reason to argue. Who are you arguing with? Nobody arguing with nobody. Can you imagine that? You don't have a right to treat your parents and your brothers and sisters or anyone. Enemy. God said to love our enemies. You don't have a right to force yourself on anyone. You ain't that smart. Leave them be and work on you. God said to love your enemy. How many people love their enemies? Oh, okay. So 7 people lied. No, I'm playing. The young lady, why don't you love your enemy in the white? Why don't you love your enemy? She's here. She's holding a mic and she's thinking. Do you love your enemies?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Yes.
You do love your enemies?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Oh, okay. The young man next to you, he didn't. Did you love your? You didn't raise your hand, right?
No, no.
Why don't you love your enemies?
It's hard for me to love them.
And why?
When somebody wrongs me, I wanna see them suffer.
And so, is that because you're not working on yourself?
No, I am working on
Nick, turn
myself.
that fan for me. I'm sorry.
I am working on myself.
How could you be working on yourself and not love your enemy?
Well, I don't care when my enemies do anything directly to me, but if they do anything directly to my loved ones, then I can't control it.
And why don't you love them if they did something directly to you? What gives you the right to not love them then?
It's anger. It's pure anger.
Amazing.
It's pure anger.
So then you love no one, right?
Not one.
Amazing. Okay. Did you raise your hand? You don't. Why do you don't love your enemies?
Me?
In the back. Yeah. I'm coming to you. I'm glad you woke up. Okay,
I think
fine.
it's the case of I don't know if I have enemies per se.
That's why you don't love me.
Yeah, it's that I don't hate or love them. I don't really have enemies.
Oh, okay. If you had enemies, would you love them?
I think so. I mean, there's no, in my opinion, there's no reason to hate anybody just outright. I mean, it's one person's could hurt you one day, the next day, that same person could be your best friend.
Okay. Amazing. Do you love your enemy? Did you raise your hand that you love your enemy or not?
I feel like I have to think about it, but I thought of, for me, I mean, this is something even my friends do where I feel like they say or do things that seem so like immoral or evil that it's kind of hard for me to even grasp how that can be. And that's something like, yeah, sure, like, I guess my enemies, I don't have like a personal enemy, you know, like there's not like a nemesis trying to do wrong to me literally in my life, but there's maybe the vague notion of, you know, I see evil on my television and that's like, I identify that as my enemy. Anyways.
And why? So you, give me a yes or no first. Do you love your enemy or you don't?
Yes. Yeah, I would say I love my enemies.
Oh, you do love your enemy. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
Thank you, baby.
I'm just thinking through it a little bit.
What a mess. Let me see someone that loved their enemy. I saw some hands. Okay. You raise yours too? Uh-huh. You love your enemies?
Yes,
And why?
because love, who you should, if you love, you're not in charge of who you love. Because someone chooses to be your enemy doesn't mean you have to treat them any different from anyone. Unless they're like actually trying to kill you, you might have to do something, but you have a choice to grab onto the thought of someone being your foe. If you just let that person be whatever they feel like they have to be towards you, eventually, if you starve that energy, it's gonna die. Or,
Oh, okay.
you know, it's like a black hole. You don't have to receive it.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you love your enemy? You don't love your enemy?
I'm trying.
Do you love your enemy?
I'm in the process.
Do you love your enemy?
Not right now.
Do you love your enemy?
Okay, no. But it's
And-
not everybody is why I'm saying that, because some people, I see them coming from a mile away. I already know what to expect, and I brace myself and I love them. But some people catch me sideways.
Tell me to stop.
It's, some people will throw you off. So you think you're doing good. Oh, look, this one, I dealt with that. I feel differently towards their heart. I don't feed into all these negative things. And then somebody comes that you didn't expect. So I don't want to say, yes, I love my enemy, because until I can say that about everybody,
So right now you're saying, no, you don't love them?
no.
Oh, okay. Amazing. You love God?
Yes.
You do? How is that possible?
That's a great question. That is the question, isn't it?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You say you don't love your enemy or you do?
Do.
Okay. And how do you know you love your enemy?
Because, well, I think you've talked about this before and I've thought about it, and I think love is a dispassionate thing, right? And hate is a passionate thing. It's very emotional. I mean, I've been angry at people, but if someone has done me wrong, which has happened in my, whatever, I don't wish any ill will upon them. I just realize that they're not the type of person that is beneficial to my life, and they're deceiving or whatever, so I just walk away. I don't wish any ill will upon them.
Okay.
And I've been in a situation where this guy's telling me what he did, and he was drunk and like really high and just kind of like laying there and just admitted what he did. And like, it was pretty wrong, I thought. And I could have just beat him up or whatever, but I have no feeling in my body to do that.
Okay.
And just let him be. He's like, okay, F this guy. I'm not going to talk to him again and go deal with
Amazing.
what I learned.
Okay. The young lady behind you, I was watching another documentary, and it was about country people, what they call white trash country people. Though I don't never use that term because I grew up around white people who were as poor as I was. We just didn't know we were poor, so we lived the same. But these people were so country, and but the one thing they had the same story that rich people have. That their troubles were the same, their complaints were the same. They said somebody treated them wrong, someone turned on them, somebody in the family lied to them. So I'm like, everybody have the same problem, and it doesn't matter what color, poor, but everybody think they have different problems, but you don't. It's the same. Isn't that amazing? And it has nothing to do with finance. Did you say you love your enemies?
Yes.
Okay, and why do you love your enemy? How do you know you love your enemy?
I just guess I don't feel like I have any enemies, like personally, because it's like that same question of like who is the I that, I think those people probably just hate God, and I know that they can't help themselves, and they know not what they do, because if they were working on themselves, then I wouldn't be an enemy to them,
So do you love the people who have done you wrong?
Yes.
And did you love them before you learned about all this?
It's weird because like when I was a kid, I did, and then I got to a point where I think I hit like a resentful streak, I think going through like family trauma and stuff, and I remember like the switch when I decided to allow myself to like not be evil, but to like be hateful. And then I remember like starting to work on myself and coming back. So I'm sure at times in my life I hated people, but I don't hate anybody anymore.
Are you married?
No,
Have you been married?
no,
You want to get married?
I don't want for anything. If it happens,
Oh,
it happens.
Lord.
I mean,
I
I
don't
like
want for
biological
anything.
instinct, like yes, but I also like
So
have
you
gone.
don't want for a husband?
Not anymore. I
I
don't.
know this
It's.
rich, white, good-looking rich man. He looking for a wife.
I bet.
No.
Yeah.
You want him? He's a good physical everything.
I mean, we could talk for sure. It's like whatever. I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah, I'll mess
whatever
with you. I'll
whatever
mess
God
Yeah.
puts in my life. Then I'm grateful for that.
Oh, okay. Nice. Behind you. Did you raise your hand that you love your enemies?
Yes.
Why do you love them, and how do you know you love them?
Why and how is because I was able to recognize the same spirit within myself. And once I was able to recognize the evil within myself, it caused me not to judge anymore.
Okay. Interesting. How about you?
Yes.
And why and how do you know you love your enemy?
I'm not wired to hate anyone. I'm not a grudge holder. I just never have been. But now I know why. Now that I've started overcoming, I think maybe somehow, I don't know. Well, forget what I don't know. I just don't have that gene that causes me to hold grudges or hate anyone.
You've never hated anyone?
I've had people do, I had a so-called best friend caused me to be fired from a job I loved, that I thrived in, that I was hoping to grow within that company. And later on, she came back and apologized, and I didn't have any problem with her. I welcomed her back with open arms. So, and I have a litany of stories like that. So I just think I don't have that gene. It's not in me to be that way.
Nice. How about you? You love your enemies?
I don't know who my enemy is.
Oh, you don't know who they are?
No.
I can tell you. Hold on, I got a list.
To me,
Mary Ella, Sue Ella. This woman said she wanted Nick and you ran and took him. No, I'm messing.
no,
And why not? So you don't know your enemy?
no, I don't.
And why not?
Because to me, the way that I kind of understand enemy is to have something specifically attacking me personally, like another person or another entity. The only enemy that I know personally is kind of the stuff that I have to deal with myself. Anything outside of that, I don't feel like is a personal attack from anything or anyone. It doesn't have to do with me. So I don't see things on the outside as my personal enemy.
Nice. Amazing. You got to love your enemies. Colin, you said you love your enemy?
Yes.
And how do you know you love your enemy? And why do you love them?
Because I don't hate them, and I don't want to hold on to anger.
How about people who have done you wrong?
That's what I'm talking
Seriously
about.
wrong.
Yeah.
You don't hate them
I've
either?
had people try to destroy my life.
Yeah.
And people that I didn't really even know that well. And so, yeah, I don't hate them.
Amazing. Have you always been that way before you realized what was going on?
To a certain degree, yeah. Yeah, but it's a lot easier now to just let the thoughts and feelings go.
But
I mean,
before you would hate your enemy?
Not really. Yeah, not really.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Amazing. How about you? Did you raise your hand that you love your enemy or you hate your enemy?
I love my enemies.
And why? How do you know you love them, and why do you love them?
I think I see now how I used to be very, very judgmental, and I would hold a lot of grudges. But since I went and forgave my parents a couple of months ago, I just kind of see the change within me.
Yeah.
And I do recognize, kind of like this woman over here was saying, I see the same thing within me. And so I have no right to judge somebody else because I wouldn't want God to judge me. And so I don't know, sometimes, like you were saying, when we consult with our mind and with this one person in particular, sometimes when I do fall into these thoughts, I'm like, oh, I want to say this and do this. And then I kind of snap out of it and be like, what are you doing? That would be so crazy. And you would look so crazy. And what would that accomplish? Like, you're just being angry and you're just spreading anger instead of saying, well, this person is on their own journey. And if they want to suffer and die, let them. But it's really not something for me to carry.
So are you learning to live, excuse me, are you learning to live and deal with people without this desire that they should change?
Yes. And I think for a long time, I really wanted
I-
people to change and
Right.
you should do this and you should believe this. And there's just no point to it.
And where did that come from, the desire to want somebody else to change? Whether it's a family member or a friend, where did that come from that you would want them to change?
I think from my own upbringing of having parents that tried to be like, you need to do this and you need to think this way.
Yeah.
And when I did start to branch out and have my own thoughts that differed from my mom in particular, I just saw how angry she became. So I think that's probably where it came from. And I remember this was a number of years ago, but I had this boyfriend where I think I kind of like copped an attitude with him about something. And he just sort of was like, I think, have you ever really thought about how you're talking to me? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, that's really inappropriate. And I think you honestly just grew up like this, but it's not okay to talk to other people the way you're talking to me. And I just never really thought about it like that before. And it just kind of planted a seed in me. And then it kind of, it's like we just go through life in this journey. But I think for me, that was a real turning point.
Nice. Amazing. Interesting. The young lady right behind, oh, okay, then I get to you next. Do you love your enemy?
I did not raise my hand.
Oh, you got that braid back, no.
What? I know, right?
You got that black
That's
hair
right.
back today. No, you're on a war
Let's
path
go.
today. She got her Bo Derek braid. Go ahead.
I don't know who my enemy is, honestly, and I know that I still have reaction to certain things inside. Like when I really sit and think about it, listening to everybody, like I think the enemy is Satan, and he dwells within everybody, and I think as I go down this whole path, I'm constantly just trying to look within. And sometimes it's faster, and sometimes I have a reaction. I think my outbursts about it have, I've been able to catch it more and more where I'm not going off on somebody right away. But I don't know. I can't think of anybody that I would say is doing something vindictive to me personally that I know I have what we would think of in a movie as an enemy, coming after me. I mean,
Do you, okay, so you love all people?
no.
You don't love all people?
No, I don't know. As I say this, I'm hearing a song from the 80s. I don't know what love is. You know what I mean? I know that sounds so cheesy, but I really don't. I mean, I'm lying to myself if I say that I do. I don't know what loving myself means. I don't know what loving God means. I know rhetoric that I've grown up with, but I don't know what that means. Honestly, I have it tied to too much emotion.
Amazing. Okay. Yes, sir. Did you raise your hand that you love your enemy or you hate your enemy?
Yes, I love my enemies. I know for a fact I love my enemies because they no longer hurt me. I have no more pain associated with anything that was an enemy. There's nothing that they could do to me now because I just simply love them. And
Okay. Amazing. And who are your enemies?
well, mostly enemies would be, I guess, people who are trying to hurt me or bring me down.
Oh, okay.
But nobody does that because the not me is the only thing that felt pain in the past. I don't have that pain anymore because I just simply love them, and the arrows that they throw don't even penetrate.
Nice. Okay. Amazing. The young lady in the back with the black hair, my friend. Hey, friend. How are you?
Good.
Can you come up here and sit up here?
Mhm.
This is my friend.
What?
Right here. Right, I saved that seat for you. Isn't that amazing? And so, do you love your enemies? I'm glad to see you.
I don't know.
You don't know? And why don't you know?
Because if I love them, they wouldn't be considered an enemy.
Right, absolutely. And why do you consider them enemies?
I don't have any, so.
You don't have any enemies? You have all friends? Meaning that you're not mad at anyone or anything?
Hmm.
Nice. How old are you?
14.
Right on. I'm glad to see you. You glad to see me too? Yeah, you're supposed to say that. No. No, I'm playing. Oh, I'm glad to see you. Any questions about anything?
No.
Right on. Okay. How many of you, what do you think about what I said this morning about people the same and the promised land? Most people are not going to make it to it. What do you think about that? Have you realized that everybody's the same? There are those who will stay on it and those who won't. Isn't that amazing? How many of you, yes, sir?
What you were talking about earlier was very affirming because earlier this week I had a realization because I had been working on myself like for years since I was a teenager, but I never approached it with the way you've visualized it with the word and like where thoughts actually come from, how they get attached to you and things like that. And it became something, it was something simple, but I'd always been like approaching it like, okay, the thoughts come from, you know, the devil, it's not me, this and that. And I had really been applying it for the last few months. And it became clear as day where it's coming from. And I learned how to like catch it as it's forming. So it's like, there's like, it would happen when I was figuring out like something I had to do throughout the day, like a practical thought, and then just something interrupted it, and I was like, aha, I got you. And in my head, I was like, I got you, devil.
Yeah.
I had like a little fun with it. I was like, aha. I was like, get out of here. And then I just kept doing it, and then I was like, oh, it became like it's like night and day. There's like your thoughts that you're actually using, and then there's other thoughts, and it became very clear, and it's, when you said it becomes a game, it made me happier because I felt like it was a game on the way. I was like, this is fun. And I thought I was crazy for thinking that. I'm like, is this another crazy thought? And then when you said that, I was like, okay, okay, at least I'm not the only one.
Yeah, right on, man.
So it really affirmed what you said. I was like, this is perfect because it just happened this week. So it was fresh, and I couldn't wait to like share that with you.
Right
so,
on.
Yeah, thanks for
Stay with it, man.
how your approach to it. It made it became like clear as day. Yeah, thank you.
Nice. Stay with it, really. I never knew the story of the Egypt story. I didn't realize that the people were doing the same thing that we all do now. They were just following other people and letting people take them off track. And then they go from one leader to another. And then they fight with those people. And then they find another group to join and fight. When God said, just be still, because God is trying to deliver us from Egypt. But you won't let him deliver you from Egypt. He tries to deliver you, you say no to it. And then you wonder, where's God? How come God won't help me? And then you start crying on your knees and boo-hooing at how bad things are. He tried to deliver you, but you won't wait for that guy to come from the mountain and give you the way out. You won't wait. It's the same story every generation, every race, every time, ever since human beings have been on earth. It's the same story. How many of you consult with your mind still? You still listen to your thoughts sometimes? Nice. Let me see again. Okay, and all you other people say you never listen to your thoughts, right? You never listen to your thoughts, right? The one that didn't raise your hand. Y'all you're gonna hold on to that lie or what? I'm trying to give you a chance to repent. Okay, I saw your hand first. Why do you still listen to thoughts? Knowing that they're your enemy.
Because I'm an idiot.
Huh? You been an idiot? Right on.
That's my best answer.
That's your best answer?
Yeah, because I know not to, but there I am on the freeway, going off in the head again. Sometimes
And you still consult with them too?
Oh, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't know why you do it?
No, I do.
Why? Oh, because you're an idiot.
Yes.
All right. That's a good description. It's an honest one too, because that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Right in front of you. Do you listen to your thoughts? Do you do what you believe what your thoughts say?
Yeah.
And why?
What he said.
Because you're an idiot. Two idiots in the same role. Nice. Okay. Thank you. Yes, Raymond. You say you listen and consult with thoughts, right?
I do.
And why?
Because I'm addicted to thinking.
Yeah.
It's as if I need to be think things through in order to solve them.
Amazing. Why do you still listen to your thoughts?
Why do I still listen to my thoughts? Honestly, it's all I've ever known. I've always thought that was just the way to do it, you know? Just growing up hearing, have good thoughts, don't have bad thoughts, stuff like that.
Are you videotaping? You. Look like I see your camera running.
I'm at to work right now. I'm working right now.
You working?
Yeah, I'm moderating a chat.
You moderate a chat in church? How you paying attention to what's happening here? You can't put that away and just work on yourself? No, I'm not.
100% attention.
Okay, fine. You go ahead.
I've been raising my hand, Jesse, you didn't even pick on me.
Okay, but you're not paying attention.
Yes,
How you moderate a chat and still paying? No. Yeah, go ahead.
So, yeah, like growing up or as a child, that's all I've known. But as I'm working on myself more, I'm starting to, I listen, like I hear them, but I'm not consulting so much with them as much as before.
Yeah.
I just hear them, and I'm like, no, not today, Satan. You know, with whatever thought that's kind of off. But the mind is it's strong. I don't think we're equipped to deal with it alone because it'll try to sneak in like, oh, this is a practical thought.
Yeah.
Go do this. No, it's practical. And then you're like, okay, I'll do it. And then it ends up not being practical. It's something bad. But
absolutely.
Just an example. Yeah.
The thoughts would never do anything but set you up to lose. That's all it can do. That's all it will ever do. That's why God said, all thoughts are all lies all the time. Bring every thought into captivity. All thoughts are all lies all the time. And what do? You consult with your thoughts. Isn't that amazing? All thoughts are, and it's deeper than what you can imagine. Really. But I want to deal with this a little bit more. I saw Doug. Doug, why do you raised your hand, right?
I did.
Why do you listen to thoughts?
I think I know that I don't always see that they are a lie. Sometimes I do see that they're a lie, but I don't know that I fully believe that the thoughts aren't me, and I don't know why, because I have seen it I've seen it as a lie, just clearly. That was totally wrong. You know, something happened.
What would happen if you didn't listen to thoughts ever again?
I'd be free.
How do you know? How do you know? You've never done it.
When I do it,
You're free?
It's free.
But not enough to want to stay that way?
That's the
live that way?
part I don't get.
So what else?
That's the part I don't get.
It's
Because there's been times that I clearly see that either I didn't go with the thought and it's worked out perfect, or I went with the thought and it's a total lie. And I don't know, although it seems that I'm getting better at it, but I don't fully grasp it.
Okay. Amazing. Right here, you had your hand right. You still listen to thoughts, right? And why?
I think I know very well that all thoughts are all lies all the time. I get it. I receive it. However, I believe for me, old habits die hard, and I just find myself listening to the thought, but at least now I'm stopping the process just by doing what I know to do, which is come back to the present.
Why don't you just never listen to it? No, what is preventing you from doing that?
I think for me, most of my thoughts that I listen to are centered around people. Like for example, like a friend who is no longer a friend, who wants to come back into my life and is making every effort to get together with me, and I relent to it and end up, listening to the thoughts and thinking that I'm giving this person grace, and so I acquiesce, and then
grace?
it turns out to be a...
Is that your friend?
I think
Grace
so.
and mercy.
I think Joel and Grace are tight.
Who do you love more, Grace or Mercy? Grace all the way. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and then it turns out to be a disaster, and I wonder why I relented. But I just feel like, for me, it's people, because I just feel like people deserve the benefit of the doubt. And like it's hard for me to block people. Well, just deserve grace, like people change.
Here we go with grace again. But how you going to have grace for other people, you don't have it for yourself?
Why do you say I don't have it for myself?
Because you listen to thoughts at times.
Well, it's based on people, though. I think human beings are different listening to that thought, because people change. I've changed.
Most people don't change. 95, 96, 97% of people never change.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
There's a lot of hate.
Well, maybe the 4% that.
But you run into
maybe I run into the 4% that I think could change. Where there's a possibility that I could encounter the 4%.
Oh, I see.
I don't know. That's something I still maybe need to work on, or.
Why don't you have grace for yourself and never listen to another thought?
It's challenging.
In what way?
Because the thoughts are always, like, I know that I shouldn't do it. Like, I know that it's not, I know it's to my detriment. However, it's just challenging for me, because it's been such a part of who I am for so long.
Yeah.
So, I'm working on it, and, I hope to someday be to that place where it's easier, at least. I think I've made some progress on that, but yeah, it's just challenging. I know.
You don't have grace for yourself. You're right here giving everybody else grace. It should start with you, for you.
Just because I listen to thoughts, you're saying I don't have grace?
Right.
How so, though? I don't understand.
Because you can't listen to thoughts and have grace for yourself.
So you don't think
if you didn't listen to the thought, it's because you Well, I'll tell you in a minute. I want to hear some more lies first.
Okay.
Why do you still listen to thoughts?
I listen to thoughts just because it's easier than to curb or just not do something. And like Buddy over there said, like I'm an idiot sometimes just because it's so much easier. Like the one thought. If I listen to one thought, it allows another one to enter and be like, it's not that bad. Oh,
And so how will God save you if you keep listening to thoughts?
He won't.
Oh, you know that already?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Suffer and die.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
They seem to offer a solution to my pain.
Yeah.
They give the illusion that they're going to solve some sort of pain.
100%. They give you a false illusion. And also, if you didn't listen to the thought, who will you be? Who will I be if I never listen to a thought? What will I rely on? I used to be afraid not to listen to a thought. Really, I used to be, the idea of not listening to thought would scare me. Because I'm thinking, who am I going to listen to? You know, what would happen if I did? It's like going to the edge of a cliff and jumping off without a parachute. And you wonder, how am I going to do this landing, right? But the most powerful thing you can do, the right thing, is to stop listening to thoughts. God can save you when you stop listening to them from thoughts. You gotta let yourself fall off the cliff of not listening to thoughts. And it's gonna feel like you have nothing to hold on to. It's gonna feel like nothing is gonna work. It's gonna feel like you have nothing. It's gonna feel like no answers will be there. There's nothing to do. But all the answers, everything is right there. It's not in there. And you gotta have grace on yourself, mercy and grace, in order to just do it and see what happens. If nothing else, see what happens. Because the way you're doing it is not working. And it's never gonna work. And that's what God is trying to save you from. You're out in the wilderness. He sent Moses up to the mountain, so Moses will come back and tell you, okay, a Savior is coming to save you. But you gotta wait on the Savior. But you won't wait. Instead of waiting, you go into your head, you come up with stupid ideas, not your own, and you follow that. You won't wait and see what happens. Isn't that amazing? Why not just wait? Just not trust the thought and see what happens. Just see what's gonna, this time I'm not gonna believe this thought, I'm gonna wait and see what happens. And I'm not talking about practical thought. You gotta make dinner. You wanna build a house, you wanna go look at a house, you wanna get an apartment, do those things. Get a car. I'm talking about this life thing that you're trying to live. Why not go with it and see what happens? What would happen if you see what happens? This time I'm not gonna listen to my imagination. I'm just gonna see what happens. A miracle is beautiful. It is, I can't even find the word to express how amazing it is. You would then trust God. You would know God. You would know Him. But you don't know Him when you serve the other God. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think a good example of this is when I was a kid, I used to be very afraid of the dark. And I would literally walk down the stairs and I had to go find where the light bulb was to turn the switch on.
Yes.
And I would just be so fearful the whole time. And then somebody taught me, it was like, hey, this is a thought. It's not real. It's just your imagination to a certain point. So I would just repeat over and over again, this is a thought. This is not real. And I was able to capture it. And like over time, I kind of, I didn't 100% get over the fear, but it never stopped me from doing any more. But things like that, I think I don't know if it's a good idea to say something like that, but knowing that it was just simply a thought helped me on that. And then just one other point that you're making in the story is they replaced God with another God, and I think we do that as well. It's like when we're waiting for God to come up with our next instruction, we come up with a new God that says, hey, we'll replace Moses or God and just go with our own new idol or
Absolutely. if you notice that people that follow other people, all they're looking for is a new God, a new false God. Because they're going to fall out of relationship with this old God that they ran up on, and they're going to look for another crowd to find another God. And they keep repeating it over and over again. It's like marriage. If you've been married once, why you need to get married again? Why? You already know what is hell. Your mind tells you to do it. This woman is the right one. This man is the right one. He treated me so nice. The other one treated you nice too in the beginning. But you listen to this, I hear a lot of guys say, and ladies, well, I want to get married so I can have children. Well, why do you want to have children? Because I'll be a better parent. I'll treat them better than my parents treat me. No, you won't. You're lying. That's a lie. That's Satan telling you that, your family didn't work out that well. Won't you get married, start your own family? And you get married and you repeat the same thing over. Now your kid's screwed up. Have you noticed that? You listen to thoughts. Stop listening to thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You're not your body. You're not your emotions. I was talking to one lady, she told me she had been living a double life. Anybody ever lived a double life? You don't have to tell me what it was, but if you ever done it. Okay. Look at the honest people raising their hands. You lived a double life. Is it possible to live a double life? Yes. Who said yes? You said yes? How is that possible?
Because you take on different identities depending on where you're at.
Oh.
Like at work, you're all goody two-shoes. And then at home, you're a mess. And I think that would be an example of having a double life. Or in front of some people, your Christian friends.
Oh, okay.
You act all goody two-shoes, and then you're partying it up with your party friends.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Interesting. How is it possible to live a double life? You said yes.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, come back.
I don't think it's possible.
Oh, it's not, okay.
Not in a good way.
What do you mean by that?
If you live a double life, that just, by fact of that it exists, means you can't be honest. And if you can't be honest and move freely in your life with everybody, then you're just in a prison. No matter how free you think you're making, I can keep it away from this person, I can keep it away from that person. Okay, everything's good as long as but then you're constricting your movement. You can't move the way you need to move, to overcome everything. Because if you're still lying and you can't just be, you're never gonna be at peace. Simply, you're too many thoughts have to pile on each other in order to maintain your life.
All right. Is it possible to live a double life?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Sure.
Have you ever lived a double life?
No.
You have never done it?
No.
And why do you think it's possible?
I just think of like somebody who is if they have a role to play in, say, espionage, they're a spy. They get a cover, they develop a whole other life so that they can blend into wherever they need to. So it's possible, but that's probably not what you're asking, right? Other than that, I think you're probably insane if you have a double life.
Okay. Amazing. Have you lived a double life before?
Yes, I have.
And how is it possible, and don't tell them what you did, but how is it possible to live a double life?
With great betrayal and, just not being honest and not being free, like you said, in a relationship.
Okay.
That I was unhappy in. For some reason, I don't know, it was some type of feeling of obligation. And I was someone else in front of her because I didn't want to hurt her feelings, I believe.
Okay.
And I tortured myself. It was miserable, absolutely miserable.
And you were living a double life.
I guess in a sense, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
In the van church, is it possible to live a double life?
I'd like to have an example of that.
Okay.
Of what maybe you thought a
Are
double
you
life
saying-
was.
Are you saying yes, it is possible, or
I
no?
want to say
it's-
yes, because there's an example in my own life. I had an uncle that was in the CIA and had a different wife and other kids. Also with our aunt, had a wife as her and her children as our cousins.
Nice.
Is that a double life?
No, that's all like 2 lives.
It's 2 lives. Okay. I guess that's...
No, I'm messing with you.
Yes, it's possible.
Okay. The young lady behind you, is it possible to live a double life?
Yes, I think yeah.
And how is that possible?
I'm not living double life, so
You're not?
no, I'm not. But I believe for some people can live that life, like
Would you
double
like
life.
to live a double life? No?
No.
Nice. Okay. Joel, is it possible to live a double life with grace and mercy?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
I'm not sure. No.
Without saying what, have you ever lived a double life?
Well, I'm not quite sure what that exactly means, so
Oh,
it's
okay.
hard for me to come up with an answer.
All right. What do you say, Frankie?
Yes.
It's possible. Speak into the mic. Okay.
Yes, I've lived a double life. I think everybody that listens to their thoughts and they're living a lie. Believe
How is it possible to live a double life?
You think you're living a double life. You have a face for your friend and a different face for your enemy. People you like, you act a certain way, and I used to do that.
All right.
And so,
Colin, is it possible to live a double life?
I don't think so, really.
Have you ever lived a double life?
No.
And why do you don't think it is possible?
Because you kind of are life. It's just one moment after another. I don't know. I mean, I just never really thought about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you say, Rochelle?
I don't know. I've never thought about it either.
You
I
never-
did. I was in a relationship,
Uh-huh.
and I wasn't living a double life. But I found out things about the other person, and my first thought was like, he's been living a double life. Like,
Oh, but
that-
you were not.
No, I wasn't.
So do you think it's possible to live a double life?
Thinking about it now, I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Amazing. Did I see your hand? No?
No.
Oh, okay. I want to do this. And then I wrote a note so I can answer, respond to all this. Any question about anything?
You ever been married?
No.
Why?
I love life. No, I've been engaged twice, but never. And I called them off because when I was dating, the women act like they agree with me. They work right on. I understand you deal with a lot of people. I understand. And then as soon as I got engaged, they started bitching. And I was like, this ain't gonna work. So I took my ring back to the store. Because I hear people say, oh, let the woman keep the ring. You ain't keeping my ring. I'll get my money back. And why should she keep the ring? Huh? Right here.
Let her have it.
Let her have it, why?
No, I agree with you. If it's an engagement, you haven't even gone anywhere yet. You're still, so that's your money, 100%.
Yeah, that's right.
You get married,
That makes
it's a
sense?
different story.
The girl I was with last time, 10 years.
Oh, hold on 1 minute, I'm sorry.
She's gone. We're done, finally. And she could keep the ring. It was a ridiculous amount of money in this ring, but I don't care.
But why do
It's
you
a
take
separation.
it 10 years, you still take it back, the marriage's over.
She can have it. It
Why?
doesn't because it's not important.
It's like letting the wife have your house.
That's a problem. That's
right.
one of the issues we had. But she has her own house. She can't have mine. So
Right on.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me do this. I want to deal with the biblical question, and then we'll finish up on this because of time. The biblical question. Anybody know the biblical question for this week? Only one person? 2? Really? 3? Can I get a 4? What's the biblical question? Isn't that amazing? I told you they'll be left in the wilderness with a worshiping a calf, a golden calf. What's the biblical?
Well, I'm probably not going to word it properly, but it's what is that fear that rises up in you?
Do you? I forgot too, so I know what you mean.
But
do you recognize the wave of pain that overtake you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you recognize the wave of pain?
I equate that with fear, right?
Okay.
And honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, I don't know of any instances where that has happened in the past, but currently it's happening. As we approach November 5th, I'm very concerned. And whenever I think about the election, like I'm concerned.
Okay, but you know, other than that, you don't notice waves of pain that comes up.
I
that
really
overtake you.
I thought about this all week, and I don't notice waves of pain that just come out of nowhere.
Oh, okay.
I don't. Maybe I need to like ponder that more. But I thought about it all week, and I would say that no, I don't have that, except as I just described.
Okay. The young lady behind you want to respond. Do you notice the wave of pain that overtakes you?
Yes, just because it's attached to a thought. But similarly to his experience, like I can feel the imposing thought when I'm dealing with practical thoughts, and I just acknowledge that it's a thought, and I try not to allow it to like overtake me.
Oh, okay.
You know, but I can see, like I'm aware of it when it's happening.
Nice.
But the pain is like not even real. You know, it's only real if you like ruminate with it. You know.
Amazing. The young man in the white shirt, do you notice the wave of pain that overtakes you?
Yes.
And what is it like? Give me an example what that means for the people here around the world.
It's like a wave of, I don't know how to explain it because I've just noticed it more recently than ever in my life, just coming to know this stuff.
Yeah. And what do you do when you notice it?
I try to think of good practical thoughts because I may get angry when I am in that wave of pain or it's trying to creep in. Maybe when something doesn't go my way, I can feel that wave of pain.
Yeah.
And I try to fight it. I'm fighting it.
Amazing. Does your wife obey you?
She's trying. She wants to. She knows now, right?
Right.
We knew the order before. Going to church most of my life until I wasn't because I felt like it wasn't right. I wasn't around the right people. They weren't guiding us in the right direction. And we took all kinds of courses and classes. But I feel like she wants to. She knows now. She knows where she is supposed to be.
So do you get a wave of pain when she doesn't?
Yes.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Yes, of course, because I'm like, you should be listening.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Right. What?
Yes, but she has I've corrected her. She's even corrected herself and come back to me and said, hey, I'm sorry.
Right on.
Look, I apologize. I was wrong with what I did.
Nice.
That wasn't me. That was you know who. Yeah.
That's right. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir.
In my experience, the wave I think I'm experiencing is something in the past that, like a lie or a thought that I took root and wasn't ready to face head on and sit in. So it lives. If you haven't faced it, it's gonna live in you, and sometimes it'll just comes sporadically, but if you don't see that's what it is, you're not even gonna recognize it, and you can't face it.
Okay.
So it makes sense if you don't recognize it, but once, like you said, stay with it and start to see things clearly, you're like, oh, here it comes, and you like kind of, you don't brace for it, but you're like, oh, you let it wash, and then you see what it is, and then you let it pass. And then the more times it comes and the more you see it like that, the less intense it's gonna be until it kind of, it doesn't go away, but you just become stronger, and it just passes and passes and passes.
Amazing.
In my experience.
Okay. Yes, Raymond.
To me, the wave of pain I feel is at times is a wave of anger, past wrong is something done to me. I feel nothing but vengeance in my heart. So I be still and be aware of that anger until it finally passes.
Right on.
That was not easy. I can tell you that.
Right on. Oh, amazing. Any questions? The lady in the, yes, sir.
I want to know about the double life.
The double life?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He want to know about the double life.
Yeah.
Let me find out about her pain first. The wave of pain. Do you notice wave of pain when they overtake you?
I'm conscious of it, yeah.
Oh, okay. And what do you do when it happens?
Sit in it.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
And amazing how fast this week go by. There's no such thing as living a double life. You either live one life or the other. You live in a life of lies, which is evil, and of the imagination. You're not living another life. You may go and pretend in front of your friends that you're living another life, but you're still living a double life, even when you pretend. And just think about, if there is no you, how can you be living a double life? You're drunk when you're at home, but when you're out, you pretend you're not a drunk. You're still pretending, which is false, which is an illusion. You can't live a double life. You're either on the side of the imagination, which is evil, or you're on the side of freedom, which is God. And you can't even hold on to, when you overcome the imagination, you're overcoming this life. You're dying from a false life. And now you're waking up to real life. There's no such thing. The world made that up, I guess. Oh, you're living a double life. If you got one wife and 10 children over here, and you got 8 wives and 20 children over here, you still living the same life. That makes sense? And just because you didn't tell anyone, you're not living a double life. You don't have to tell anyone your business anyway. Who want to tell I got 3 wives and 8 children? You're still living the same lie. The imagination. And the imagination is a lie. What do you think about that? Yeah. That makes sense? On the mic.
Yes, that makes sense.
In what way does it make sense?
Because that's what my intuition was, is that we're just living. It's just there's no double life to live.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Christians love to tell somebody they live in a double life. And the ones that are telling you that, they live in a lie life. You don't have a double life. You must die from the fake life so you can have real life. What do you think about that?
I agree.
You agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think my initial reaction was I was like, I don't think you can live a double life. So
Right.
I agree with what you're saying.
Have you ever thought it was possible to live a double life?
I'm sure at one point I did.
Yeah.
But
See, we gotta learn all over again. We've been taught everything wrong. Isn't that amazing?
yes, it made me think of, I think this was quite a while ago, we were talking about like a showcase personality here at
Yes.
church, and that's what my mind went to, and how, when you try and do these different things, really you're not any other different person, you're kind of just living different lives. So that's where my mind
Absolutely.
went.
Showcase personality. We don't even see the real y'all up here right now. Because you have a showcase personality. If I visit your home, you ain't gonna act all relaxed and nice. You're gonna pretend. Your husband, your wife walk in, you're gonna kiss her like you love her. Just so I can see that you love her. And I know you're fighting. That's why you're kissing so they don't fight while we're there. It's time to wake up. Really, you can wake up and have real life. Another thing about the enemy, there are people who would create enemy. They will make you their enemy, but that doesn't mean they gotta be your enemy. We don't have enemies. The enemy thing is an imaginary thing too. You make up enemy in your own mind. I hate that person. I hate this person. I want to be with that person. This person hate me because they said this about me or did this to me. You make up an enemy. There's no such thing as an enemy. It's another illusion. Isn't that amazing? It's all in here. We've been messed up in the head. And that's why we can't judge anyone. Every human being must be born again. Every human being is screwed up in the head. You don't have enemies. Satan tell you that you do. Other people may tell you you do, but you don't have an enemy. If you were free from this, how can anybody hurt you? You can't be hurt if there's no one to be hurt. No one can create. And I understand, I wasn't raised to hate either. I can't, from the good old days, we were taught to love people, not people had problems, don't hate them. You treat everybody the way you would like to be treated. So I understand that, absolutely. We need those days back too, to love everybody, even those people that didn't like you. But it's all in the mind. You lost, you've been delivered from Egypt, and all you do, God said, okay, relax here, we got to figure out how to get you across to the promised land. But while you're waiting, the thoughts tell you don't wait. Somebody raise up in a crowd and tell you, I want to be your leader. Don't listen to, you got to listen to your thoughts. Don't listen to what Jesse say. If you don't listen to your thoughts, what would you do? How would you make decisions? Where would you be if you don't listen to your thoughts? You listen to thoughts. Or they tell you, don't do the silent prayer. It didn't work for me. Try this prayer. Or try that prayer. That didn't work for me. This will work. And you go and try it. You lose your way. Because you listen to the outside person who's living in their head, and you listen to thoughts. I want you to, this week, to give it a good try, and don't listen to the imagination, just to see what happens. You know what? I'm not going to listen to the, and then those waves of pain, I want you to be aware when you first wake up in the morning, you already have waves of pain. They already start. As soon as you open your eyes, you're worried about how your day gonna go. You're worried about how this, or worried about the past, because the devil always give you the past or the future. You're worried about how much this and how much, you have waves of pain, but you don't see them. This week, try to watch them and see them, and see what happens. I can't take your hand because you're on here. You can't do it.
That's a lie, you know it.
What's a lie? No, I don't want to argue. No. Okay, forget it. Okay, thank you. Okay, I got you. Try this week and catch those waves of pain that you get and do nothing about them. All right? Do nothing about it. Take them and see what. Stop arguing and fighting with the devil. Don't do anything about it. Live with it. This don't call it you. It's not you. Live with it so the Father can save you and take you into the promised land. He's trying to save you from your misery. He's trying to save you from thoughts, worry, doubt, pain, jealousy, envy, strife, revenge, suicidal thoughts, worried about what you have or don't have, comparing yourself to others, trying to be like others. He wants to save you from that, but you won't let him because you keep running back into your imagination. You're not being aware of it. Be present. Practice this week being present, watching the waves of pain. Keep your eyes on you for 24 hours a day, all right? Your life will get, it's going to be amazing. Any questions about that? Yes.
When you talk about the waves of pain, is it okay to like actively, even if it's like sometimes I feel like it's for hours, I'm just trying to get out of my head because the thoughts are just coming.
Right.
So is that something to practice? Is that?
Don't try to get out of your head at all. It's enough to see it. This is you. These are your imaginations, all that stuff I just called, and then some. You want to just see it. And just see it and be aware and being aware of it, you are out.
Okay.
If you were in, you would not be aware that you're having all these thoughts and pain, right? But just be aware of it, you're out. And then the Father would destroy them. And then you will have them no more.
So just be aware, see them, but don't try to stop them.
Right. You can't, it's evil, you can't fight evil. But the light that allows you to see them will fight evil on your behalf.
Okay.
You can't fight it. You just need to see it. That's why I keep saying, be present, stay present, because you need to see. Once you can see, seeing is winning. If you never want to lose again, just see. Be aware, and you never lose again.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
That make sense?
Yeah.
Just see it. If you can see it, you're free. Because this thing that's having a fit at you looking at it is evil. They're screaming out. Oh my God, that pain, this is that. Evil yelling, not you. Because it knows the light is going to destroy it, and it's afraid of the light. And so it feels like, and evil say, oh, this is too hard. This is taking too long. This is too rough. You gotta do something. It's telling you to save it. And then you think you try to save it. And you only give it life. That makes sense? Any disagreement about any of that? Any questions? Stay with it. Stay with it all the way into the promised land. And I don't care how long it takes, you keep your eyes on you and you watch and let the world go by. Yes, sir.
I've had this issue when I do the silent prayer where it feels weary, or I get tired doing it. Just doing it can make me tired. It's been less of a problem, but I've been curious for a long time what you'd say about that.
As long as it's not a physical issue where you need to see a doctor or something like that, all you need to do is watch it. Don't let anyone talk you out of watching it. Just watch it. Don't give it a name or anything. Don't call it you. Don't complain about it. Just watch it. You'll be fine.
Yeah, naming things is interesting too.
Do what now?
I said naming things is interesting too.
Yeah.
Not naming it has been very helpful, yeah.
Right. Cut out the naming. You want to stop identifying with anything. Remember I asked if your parents had never given you a name. Let's say you were born, came through your mother, but they never named you. Who would you be? If they didn't say, oh, this is my son, Jack, and they start calling you Jack, who would you be?
Nobody?
Right on. You'll be nobody, you'll be free. But the moment they gave you a name, you identify with that name, and the rest of your life you've been identified with something. You've been identified. Stop identifying. God tried to destroy all your false identities, and you're trying to hold on to them. Let them go. Relax in the desert. And wait till Moses come down. He'll bring you help. God is sending you help when you let the thoughts relax and do nothing about them. He's trying to help you. That makes sense? He's trying to help you. You're like, Lord, save me. And the preacher said, come down to the front of the church and get saved. That ain't saving. He's trying to save you from your false nature. They never told you what salvation was all about, right? Salvation is to be born again of the heart from evil to good and save you from this false nature that you have. He's trying to save you from that. All right? Amazing. Was this helpful a little bit? Yes, sir. Good. This is your first time here. How was it helpful to you? A little bit.
It was helpful mainly because it's putting me and my wife and my children on a course in life so they're not destroyed.
Right on.
And we follow the order of God.
That's right. Right on, man. Nice.
Thank you.
Stay on the path. Stay on it. Stay with it. Stay with it. I don't care what happens. Stay with it. It's not happening to you. When someone don't like you, there's nobody to like. Okay, I don't need you to like me. There's no one to like. I don't like me. Because there's no one to like. You know what I mean? But it's hard to accept that there is no you. Like when we all look at it, don't we see somebody? I look like I see a you, but I'm not seeing you. I'm seeing the fake you. And another thing, real fast, forget about, you hear Christians say, well, I still sin. I'm like, why? Because I'm human. Stop saying that. You are not sinning because you're human. You're sinning because you rebel. You refuse to let the anger go. You refuse to stop playing God. It has nothing to do with because you're sinning. And it has nothing to do with you being a human. That's another lie, but we'll deal with that later. Brand new biblical question. Brand new biblical question. When, I'm putting it out there, y'all not going to do it anyway, so. Somebody out there will. You are going to go around the fatted calf and party. When was the last time you had a real conversation with a human being? When was the last time you had a real conversation with a human being?
Find a real conversation.
That's what the question is about. That's the biblical question. You said define a real human being? That's the biblical question. When was the last time you had a real conversation with a human being? Another human being or a human being, whatever. I'm sorry?
I said never.
Never?
Yeah.
And why you say never?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Just thinking about like all the stuff we talk about and things being spiritual and all these words that we make up, I think half the time it's just noise.
Okay.
You know? I mean, really, yeah.
When the last time you had a conversation, a real conversation with another human being?
A real conversation. I can't remember. Maybe I was on a date, and this is before I discovered you and like forgiveness. And the date was telling me about her issues with her parents, and I said, "Well, have you ever thought about forgiving them?" She was like, "No, there's no way." And this was before I even got into any of this. So I think that was.
No, I don't want to talk about that.
The last time.
I want to talk about how painful I am, right?
Yeah.
Well, good, man. Interesting. So that's the biblical question. Any question about the biblical question? You're the only one here that pay attention to them, and that's why you're growing.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a great question. I have real conversations all the time with my husband about this work that we're doing.
Amazing, thank you.
Yeah.
When you discover what a real conversation is, you're going to stop talking to people. You're going to be like, this is a waste of time. Really. All right. Thank you all for coming. Make sure you work on yourself. Don't forget to do the silent prayer. Forgive. See first that you're angry and drop the anger. Really, you can have paradise right here on earth. You don't have to wait until you die. But you got to see what's going on up here and the emotion. There is never a reason to be emotional. Emotions are not necessary. Angry emotion or so-called good emotions. Not necessary. Really. And you're going to see how dumb it is to be crying. You'll be like, why am I crying? It's all for self and it's all for ego. So forgive your mother and your fathers. And God will forgive you. Do the silent prayer and practice staying present. As someone mentioned this morning, how the devil, when you wake, he's always trying to tell you about the past or the future. Whenever the devil reminds you of something, isn't it always in the past? It's never in the now. It's always about what has happened or will happen. That should be a clue. Why is he trying to keep me from right now? I just woke up, nobody's around. Why are you trying to remind me of the past now? Pay attention to that. Just pay attention. Practice paying attention to here. You'll be surprised how this all work out for you. All right? So do the silent prayer, rebuildingtheman.com/prayer. What else? And watch. Become a watcher of self. Watch, watch, watch. And it's going to all work itself out. Thank you for tuning in. No meetings this week. Anything, Hake? No meeting this week. Do the silent prayer and blah, blah, blah. Support us. Go to rebuildingtheman.com/donate or tithe or whatever. Super chats, we'll do them tomorrow if the Lord is willing and the creek will rise. So let me tell you, we're building a radio network, and it's going to be, sorry ladies, all men. I know y'all don't like that. Because the women, they hate to be left out. No, I'm playing. All men, 24 hours talk, back to back. So we're at a point now, we got our own network going. We're still doing a little cleanup on it, but Punchy TV. And so we got a few people we're going to start lining up, so you will be getting a call. And no matter where you are in the world, if you're interested, send it to producer@JesseLeePeterson.com, all right? We got to get men back in order. We're losing our, as you were saying, you're afraid about this whole election thing coming up. We're losing the men. I don't even hear outcry about how we're losing men. You're losing men. Look at the news, mostly women. Look at the weather reports, mostly women. They just had a tornado, hurricane, and all that, whatever you want to call it, in South Carolina, Florida, and those places. Who were out in the weather reporting the weather with the wind blowing? Women. A woman that got no business out in the weather trying to report a storm. Right.
Women instead of men.
You'd rather see women reporting a storm?
Absolutely.
Oh my God. Okay.
I'd rather see a woman surfing. I'd rather see a woman on the news than some clown.
See
some
how
man.
we losing men? In the churches, who take it over churches? Women. In the marketplace, women. Whenever they have expert doctors on these talk shows now, who show up? A woman. I'm like, what the? That's not by accident. That is breaking the order of God. God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, woman over children. Nothing else is going to work but that order. And like he was saying, he loves seeing women. It doesn't matter. That's a big mistake. And they are making it look like it's fine, but it's not going to work. It doesn't work in the home if the man is not leading. It's not going to work in the world. It's just not going to work. So pay attention to that, because this is like quietly happening. Their focus is on transgenders and all this other mess. But the greatest thing is to lose men, and they're losing it. When men light go out, the light of the world goes out. So pay attention. Anyway, thank you all so much. I do appreciate it. We'll read your super chats tomorrow. And thank you all for showing up today. Amazing meeting. Amazing. Thank you.